Oh yes, the Radiant Dance Machines. These were actually one of my favorite exotics back in D1, but they aren't nearly the same at all like they were in D1 in terms of functionality. In D1, they were basically like peacekeepers except for any weapon, which honestly, I kind of wish they still were that, maybe just for a select group of weapons or a certain weapon so it doesn't just outright power creep peacekeepers except for the hunter. But regardless, the new perk here is called the Dance. Dodging near an enemy allows you to dodge additional times for a short period, of course, without cost. Sounds like a cool, potentially strong, and totally not broken exotic, right? Well, I think that's what they could have been if it wasn't for the Dynamo and Distribution mods that give you super energy among other ability energy in the case of Distribution for dodging near a target, and yeah, this does work through walls. In terms of the boot's actual functionality, when you dodge within 15 meters of a target, it allows you to dodge unlimited for 6 seconds, and it tells you when you're within the right range to utilize the exotic. There is a clever bit of balancing with these though. You have to stay within 15 meters of an enemy to continually use the unlimited dodge. If you exit that space, it immediately cancels out the buff and you'll have to wait for your next dodge. On face value, ignoring the perks that this has kind of broken interactions with, I'd say this exotic's pretty neat. It's probably quite good for shotgunning in PvP, and I assume it has some pretty good functionality in PvE as well. What I've been asking myself though is, are these exotics inherently broken, or did they just expose a flaw in balancing or how broken some mods or abilities are because they don't have a cooldown? And I'm going to say it's the latter. I don't think this exotic without Dynamo or Distribution, or maybe some of the other interactions like the slow dodge, is actually broken. I think it's just a cool exotic that has some neat functionality, and because the way they balance it with the 15-meter limit that you can't exit, there's some ample risk to it. I think these exotics really more so expose the fact that Dynamo and Distribution and other mods that give you ability energy back for an action don't have at least a 5 to 6 second cooldown, and I'm not sure why they wouldn't. Firstly, I don't think that a lot of these mods that give you energy back for using another ability should be spammable. I think it's fine when you get their one-time use every once in a while, even if it is through a wall, I'd argue, but it's the fact that you can spam them and just ignore or accelerate the cooldown of your main ability you're looking for, and in this case, being your super, that becomes problematic. Especially when you can do that behind a wall or underneath an enemy where you're in complete safety and the enemy might not even have knowledge that you're doing it. I don't fully understand why the ability energy refunding mods wouldn't have at least a 5-second cooldown to stop them from being spammable. Also, the fastest you can get a dodge ability back is 9 seconds with the new Stasis Utility Kickstart mod. If 9 seconds is the fastest we can get the dodge cooldown with the new Utility Kickstart mod, and that's one of the fastest regenning abilities in the game, not counting any sort of double charges with subclasses or exotics, why wouldn't we just have an inherent 5-second cooldown? Because we're never actually going to run into that unless we're actually trying to abuse and spam ability cooldown energy with double stacks or any sort of interaction that allows us to get repeated ability usage. Radiant Dance Machines just does this the best in the game currently, but it's not limited to this. With 6 Coyote and Bottom Tree Arcstrider, you can do something similar to Radiant Dance Machines, where you just sit behind a wall and repeatedly dodge because you get a faster dodge and you get multiple cooldowns. You get to just farm super, and you can probably get your super in a round, and I think I used to do this even with 6 Intellect, which isn't even the highest. I haven't tested all of them, but there are plenty interactions in this game, I'm sure, where mods don't have cooldowns and you can get them to trigger multiple times. I'm not sure which do and don't have cooldowns though. I know Impact Induction actually, funny enough, does have a cooldown. If you try and melee someone twice, it'll only give you energy for 1 melee, as far as I could tell in my testing, but my point is they should all have a lockout similar to that, or they should all have a cooldown, not only some of them. Sure, if you're running a double charge build, that means you're just going to have to space out your double charges just a little bit more, but that still makes a big difference in my opinion. that stops me from essentially being able to do 2 6 coyote dodges in front of someone and then kill them. Instead, I have to probably just dodge and then kill them most of the time because I won't have time to use a second dodge. Therefore, I'm only getting my one-time use of Dynamo or Distribution and not spamming it to get a massive chunk of my super and then a kill on top of it. The mods are still having a use and making an impact, having a synergy and reason to be used with my build. However, the difference with a cooldown is you can't just do degenerate spamming of it to get a more favorable ability, in this case our super back. Currently, with these mods acting the way they do and Radiant Dance Machines being the best way to exploit them in the game, the only answer is when someone starts dodging around you to turn around and run away to get out of their range, so they have to stop dodging, which is a very bad solution because then you are now encouraged to not engage with enemies and you're giving up map control, power positions, and when the only answer is just to run away or turn away, that's just an awful feeling. I do see many people using Radiant Dance Machines with the stasis slow dodge. I think that this is annoying and it does limit you from being able to run away, but I don't think it's perhaps practical at a reasonable level of play. You actually have to be within 8 meters of an enemy to actually get the slow off on them, and I feel like if someone's not shotgunning meleeing you or just even double meleeing you before you do 3 dodges, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I think any good player is usually going to hit 2 melees on you before you perform 3 dodges and get frozen. That being said, I'm not exactly sure this should work this way. I think maybe there should be a tiny cooldown for the dodge abilities so that you can't use them repeatedly. So take this for an example. When I'm playing Top Tree Arcstrider with Gemini Jester and I dodge to activate Jesters, then get a melee kill and try and dodge immediately again, it doesn't give me the Gemini Jester effect on that second dodge, which means there's some sort of really small cooldown because if I wait half a second, I can do it and then get the effects of the Gemini Jesters, but that stops you from doing it back to back to back immediately. I think that same small cooldown should be on a lot of the Hunter dodge abilities, like the dodge to slow, and that would stop you from being able to spam it repeatedly and instantaneously. Instead, you'd have to wait half a second, and just that little bit of time allows a little bit more interaction. That doesn't mean this exotic's fully off the hook though. There are some broken aspects of it. I think the most broken part of this exotic is that it has a threat detector style effect where it full on tells you when to do the dodge to gain its benefits. When I use Gemini Jesters, it does not tell me, hey, you're good to take someone's radar even through a wall. I have to learn the distance to utilize the Gemini Jesters properly and in the range that they'll activate at. And if I want to try and take someone's radar around a corner or even through a wall on a flank, I have to take the risk of using my dodge ability and hope that my opponent that I was going for is indeed in the range of my Gemini Jesters, and if they weren't, I wasted my dodge cooldown and I wasted my Gemini. The same applies to 6 Coyote. Trying to get your super energy through a wall, it doesn't tell you when enemies are close. You have to dodge and hope that you're close to them. Obviously, you can use a threat detector weapon to give you this similar effect, but at that point you have to get a threat detector weapon and actually use it and incorporate it into your build, and for that, honestly, I have a little bit more lenience than an exotic that's already giving you that inherently, so you have the absolute freedom to use whatever weapons you want because it's going to do it all. It's going to best abuse the mods and not having a cooldown on them, and it's going to also tell you when exactly to do that. So to sum things up, I don't think that Radiant Dance Machines are inherently broken per se. I think the mods not having a cooldown is the biggest problem, and Radiant Dance Machines exploits that better than anything in the game. On top of it, I do think the part about Radiant Dance Machines that tells you when to dodge to get its exotic perk is broken, and it should not be there, and that should be removed. I'm really hoping that we see a change to this exotic or something happen that prevents it from inhibiting the launch of Trials, because I'd rather not play Trials against this. I'm actually kind of excited for it this time around, so hopefully it's fixed before then. But anyways, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take it easy.